So the purpose of my channel is not only to show, my strategy and what helped me succeed and actually grow my portfolio during the bull run of 2021 with Ethereum, because that really is what my VWAP strategy is to me. It's like the sword that I carried into war, and I survived that war. And so, I've come back to teach it and to understand it better and to get back into trading, and eventually trade those same crazy dumb bet the farm contract sizes I used to do when I was like a risky flopping groper trader. Um, so that is like the mission of my YouTube channel. And that's led me to, discover this path of, what is the true real VWAP? Who are the big minds in the VWAP space? Um, and like, how can I use different variations of VWAP with Market Cipher B to show Market Cipher just in a way that inspires not just traders to use the strategy because I want to show that it does work, but also to inspire future would-be MC creators that you can use MC and blend it with your own style of trading and make your own edge, and you can build a career off that. Um, and so that's what I want to demonstrate to you guys is like what I've learned about anchored VWAPs, the AVWAP tool, from Brian Shannon's book. It's actually, I got it right here. Maximum Trading Gains with Anchored VWAP. The perfect combination of price, time, and volume. And that's what the VWAP line is. So what we have been doing is using the intraday day trading, like the scalping tool, the standard VWAP, and it resets every day at the daily candle. It's weighted by volume and takes into account cumulative price. Um, so it's like almost acts like the heart of the market. It's what traders hope to get in a downtrend if they're shorting, and it's the price that bulls hope to secure in an uptrend when longs are favored. So, and you can see here, like we start getting closes over VWAP, and it's only a matter of time before we see more green over the VWAP. And I'm going to bounce between calling it VWAP, VWAP. There's also the anchored VWAP, which I'll go over in a second, which is AVWAP. But the point is that this is not a moving average. Like a moving average has a rolling set of data. It's if you have a 20 candle moving average, after the 21st candle prints, that candle number one falls off the block and is no longer a part of the calculation of that line. Whereas with VWAP, it's a cumulative thing. So even though it resets every day at the daily candle, I could use an anchored VWAP just to demonstrate this. Like if I set an anchor at say this bottom here, this creates a VWAP where there is no like daily breaks. The session is delineated as this point here. And so it's a cumulative, like this grows and becomes more important with time. Like that original data point actually grows in value over time, whereas with a moving average, like old data just falls off and becomes irrelevant. And another thing about VWAPs is that since they're volume weighted, if there's ever a spike in volume, or a lull in volume, the VWAP line will rush towards or slow down in regards to the price action. So if there's ever like a crazy spike in volume, you might see the VWAP like snap to like towards the price basically. And that's something that a moving average would never do. So yeah, so VWAP does a better job of figuring out like the true trend. Like whereas a moving average would probably fall off and the price would be well above that moving average at this point in time. The VWAP actually pretty much catches these bottoms here as the trend goes on, and so it acts as like the heart of, you know, the bullish sentiment. Like, you know, starting it from this point, this is the point where the bulls took charge of price action, and that's an objective statement because that's like truly what happened. So since that point in time on January 24th, we've been overall bullish with price. And so this anchored VWAP line represents that sentiment. And if we were to lose this anchored VWAP here, that would imply that this bullish movement that we saw got tired, it lost steam, and it's over now, you know? And there's no other indicator that paints that narrative for us like that. And so using multiple of these anchored VWAPs at a time, the chart can get a little messy. So you only want to use the ones that are highly relevant. And what is a relevant anchor point? A relevant anchor point could be an all-time, like a local all-time high or all-time low. It could be the start of a major period. So there's the daily session VWAP, which resets every day, but you could have a weekly session. You could put your anchor on the start of each month, or the start of each year, and that year to date anchored VWAP is a very important line to watch. It's actually major resistance for Bitcoin at the current moment. But yes, yeah, so like the year to date, you would have had to put that back here. And then you could have done the all-time high one as well. So that would create basically like a downtrend that Bitcoin would have to overcome, right? So if we go to the daily, and we'll hide our intraday VWAP. So we're going to place an anchor at that all-time high just because that's an important part in the market. And we're going to go into the settings of the anchored VWAP, and Brian Shannon recommends that we don't use the bands unless you really like the bands. He prefers to, instead of like using a mathematical model for guessing price action and moves, he prefers to use the actual AVWAP. Which I like that line of thinking. And the source is actually really important here, because is the source going to be the open, the high, the low, or the close? That's a good question. Like, where is this line starting from? Do you do it from the high on, you know, when you do downtrends, and from the low when you do uptrends? But Brian Shannon recommends that you do the open high low close divided by 4. That way you're unbiased and like completely unbiased, so it's all 4 values averaged. And so that's how he sets his anchored VWAPs. And so now that allows us to put one at the top of the market, the bottom. We also want to do the year to date VWAP, so like the 1st of January. We'll do one there. That's good. And that's all we'll do for now. Actually, okay, there was this one here. So we'll do this wick down at the bottom so we get that overall uptrend picture there. Okay. Sweet. So you can see when we go down to the hourly chart that this actually has created our price range. And so the anchored VWAPs could assist whatever you're using for like critical like like finding key levels of support and resistance. You may want to try just like laying that anchored VWAP tool on the chart, seeing if it aligns with what you got. You could always take it away, but doing a quick anchored VWAP check of like, you know, what is the sentiment of this overall uptrend here? It looks like we still are, you know, bullish sentiment is still alive because we're over it still. Got a nice long scalp here. It seems to me like the year to date VWAP, you know, which is this one here, which I'll color it red since that's overhead. So one, two, three, four big short scalps off that year to date VWAP. And so from a yearly narrative, the horse comes out the gate, he stumbles, and he has a major setback. So from a year to date standpoint, Bitcoin's not doing so hot, right? The bulls are trying, they're fighting, and they even have this ascending triangle formation. They're fighting that double top, and they're trying to make this into an ascending triangle, and they are sieging the year-to-date VWAP, which is, as much as we would want to see from Bitcoin bulls. It's a scary new year. The new year is scary for crypto as an asset because every year we ask, what the hell even is crypto? Um, so yeah, we're battering, and this is all a narrative that I'm painting with these anchored VWAPs. So man, I love the way I can tell a story with it, and it pairs so good with the momentum trading, the market cipher B, because let's see if we have some good wave indications here. So it's all like clear in hindsight. When it's happening, it's all scary. But like you can see the waves trending down, whereas the price holding firm there. So you have kind of a weaker but still valid bearish divergence at that line. And yes, the money flows green, but I've been teaching my students like market cipher B is like a feminine indicator, and your support and resistance and your volume indications are like your daddy. Like they're more rigid. The price is actually going to respond to them because price is the scorecard. Price is like the bottom line. Like price is king. And so support and resistance, key levels, and in my opinion, volume are very important. Whereas like the directional indicators of the blue and yellow waves, um, they're good like triggers for trade entries. But are they like, is it telling you the future, like a bounce off of a key level, or like a spike in volume, or something like that would say no. Um, but it's just one more thing that we can look at to time a good trade. Um, it's like a higher likelihood of the trade succeeding. So you see like the bearish interactions with the waves off that VWAP line. And since the VWAP is time agnostic, um, you could go to the 30-minute and view that same interaction on the VWAP, on the anchored VWAP line, and you might get a different message from the waves, but it might give you the same result or a similar result. And like you'll catch these, like, here was another divergence from this peak to this peak, whereas the price went higher and there was a bit of a short there. So you catch these little opportunities, just by the fact that like the VWAPs are acting as like this big control variable, for you to go and analyze these waves on whichever time frame combinations that you wish. Um, so so yeah, you can see Bitcoin is pretty much consolidating within these anchors. It's giving us great key levels to work from, and what else did I want to talk about? I was looking at Link. Um, we could do like a quick Link analysis because Link, it seems to have led the charge on some bullish action lately. So we're gonna go to the macro Link situation here. Let's go to the 2 week, and we'll take our anchors. We're gonna go for the high, and we're gonna go for the low. And you can see that we're well over these anchored VWAPs. Um, come down, and we've like shown a very bullish candle here, implying strength, and obviously there was follow through after that. So this is a very strong looking, bullish looking chart by Link. Even still, like I get that, where I'm telling you guys this about Link once we're already 240% up from the low. But as a momentum trader, you look for markets that have made the decision that it's time to get moving, that runaway train kind of action, and you do want to hop in and you do want to use the tools available to get your lick of the pie, you know? So Link might be a good thing to look out for. In fact, any crypto that's well above its anchored VWAPs is probably going to perform well as long as the narrative around that asset is healthy. Another one I just love, like I love Tron. I love the 2 week chart on Tron. Um, it just seems like hyper bullish. Yeah, it's crazy how we're just like in this runaway train status on the 2 week. The yellow oscillator is crossing the zero line here. Like even though we've been pumping, the yellow oscillator is only just now about to cross the zero line. So crazy stuff. You know, when we do this macro thing on Bitcoin here, we'll go to the top. This was the 2021 peak, and we'll do the November 2022 bottom, and we're well over those VWAPs. So I think it's important to stay, you know, if the wind is blowing one direction, we want to sail in that direction. Even though we are preparing for corrections, we know the direction. So, um, you know, being in this larger uptrend that's established over the course of last year, yes, we had a rough start to 2024, but look for these, you know, even if we have to come down and there's some janky action, you know, for like the majority of this year, um, these anchored VWAPs are eventually going to push us up. That is my theory. That is my hypothesis. So, and also that means that like in general, it's going to be a rough road if you're a bear, even though like it might come down. It's there's going to be a fight. Like the bulls are basically in charge since we're over these anchored VWAPs.